You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
All right, Greg, welcome to the show.
Hey, great to be here. Excited to chat.
Yeah, man, I'm excited too as well. So tell our listeners something interesting about yourself and also where you're calling in from.
So I am just outside Atlanta today in Georgia. So it's a beautiful sunny day. It's not nearly as cold as it is in some other places, but probably not as warm as where you are. So something about myself. I think one of the things people find most interesting is I've got 6 kids. And so that's a little different. You know,
that's a lot of kids.
Most people don't quite that far. So yeah, but it's fun and exciting. So.
That's awesome. How many boys, how many girls?
Half and half, 3 of each. So that just worked out nice.
Oh, very cool. So tell us a little bit about Blue Tangerine. What is it that the company does? It's a digital marketing agency. What kind of value does it bring to the marketplace?
Yeah, so we call ourselves a digital marketing agency and website development agency. So what we're trying to do is help our clients use the internet to improve their business. That's really the heart of it. So, you know, a website that is trying to generate leads or sales for the company, helping them improve that site, get more traffic to that site with things like SEO or email marketing or social media, things of that nature that will bring their customers to the site and help them get more sales and more leads. That's really what we're about.
So you actually talk to the customers themselves about the site.
So we are helping expose the site to the potential customers and put it in front of where they are going to be, whether they're searching for particular keywords, like I said, or if they're out there on social media trying to raise awareness. We even get into some of those geofencing campaigns now where you're getting ads showing up on the phones and such based on where you've been, which is a little creepy for a lot of people still. But but hey, it's all about getting your message in front of the right people at the right time.
Yep. That's part of the holistic approach, right? And I think that it's if it's an angle or it's a window for us to be in front of those people. I mean, at least we know that they're interested from an IP standpoint and cookie, right? That we're able to follow those that have already created interest. But so, is there a lot of UI UX involved?
Definitely. You know, there's certainly this idea that, well, I have a website and I have one, so what else do I need? Well, you know, a website is not just about the design. It's about actually understanding how your users use it, what they're trying to do, where they're getting stuck, and not finding, because what happens a lot of times is it's totally clear to me because it's my business, what I'm trying to sell. It's totally clear to me where it is on the website because I built it. You know, it's totally clear, but to the person who's seeing it for the first time or who's just heard about it or whatever, it's not. And they get stuck or they get confused and sometimes very, very confused. And so we have to figure out where are those roadblocks? Why are they getting stuck? How do we help them move forward and find the information they're looking for?
I want to touch on that, Greg, because I always like to the entrepreneurs that are listening right now, you mentioned something that is hard for them to understand, which is it's hard for them and as me as a business owner to be the guy on the outside looking in. In fact, you can't be the guy on the outside looking in, meaning bringing people on like Greg listeners or Business and Life listeners here is really important to be able to understand that you need an outside perspective because you're blinded within your own business. And that's okay because it's the norm, right? You work in and day out. You look in the mirror every day. You're not going to know anything. You're not going to see any different. You're not going to see that next little wrinkle pop up. You just don't, right? And it is what it is. Right. So you need the outside looking in approach because you assuming that it's easy and intuitive is the worst thing that you can do. And you're going to spend just a shit ton of money if you don't get the outside looking in approach on why do I have a lot of clicks and no conversions kind of thing. If you're thinking that, like, what do you think, Greg? Why do you think that might be, by the way? What's the first thing that usually the biggest problems that you see with conversions and or lead generation when it comes to different companies or different websites, if you will?
Well, the biggest thing that I see is that the person who owns the site assumes that everybody starts on the homepage. You know, and when we look at the analytics, in reality, we see as much as 80% of your traffic actually starts on your site on some other page other than your homepage. Now, it's going to vary a little bit between, sites and such. But when you look at those entry pages in those analytics reports, everybody goes, oh, well, yeah, my homepage is at the top of the list. Well, yeah, it's the most popular entry point. But if it's 20, 25%, that's 80, 75% of the traffic that's starting somewhere else. And so what happens is the messaging may be pretty good on the homepage about what you do, who you are, where to go next. But when they're starting, level 3, it might be really confusing, and thinking about what does my visitor see if this is the first page they're looking at about me, and how do they figure out where that is in context of my overall message and where they go next. I think that's something that we forget a lot, because we always look at hierarchy, homepage, next page, whatever, and don't always think about it's a web. That's why we call it a web, right? It all jumps together and you come from wherever. So yeah, I think that's probably one thing. If you're only going to look at it from one perspective, look at all those other pages as an entry point.
That's a really good point, Greg. And so the listeners, I think you're right. That is the assumption. Hey, they must be going to my homepage. They're bouncing from my homepage. Maybe they're bouncing from somewhere else, right? And so first step, if you don't have the analytics, your Google Analytics set up, definitely set them up, right? So you know where they're going, how long they're staying. I mean, that's definitely step one. But so tell us some of your, you've had an entrepreneurship journey here. How long have you been in business, by the way, Greg?
So with my own company since 2006, but been building websites now for over 20 years.
Awesome. So tell us, because we know there has been a time where you've been close to or hit rock bottom in business and freaked out, or something was going really wrong. Tell some of us, I'd like to get advice from those in the mix like yourself that's been in business for over 20 years here. How are you able to overcome some of these disasters in business? Yeah.
So my big disaster was 2008. And I think, I joined everybody else's disaster. For those who might be listening that are too young to remember that,
Yeah, there might be some, you're right.
And not only that, so like I said, I started in 2006, and what I did was, it was a management buyout of the company that I was already working for, where I was VP of operations. The owners were going in a different direction. We were a small web shop, and I wasn't quite happy that, their business strategy was don't cost us money and you guys can keep your jobs, and so just self-sufficient, and that just wasn't really good enough. So we started talking. Anyway, long story shorter, when you take over and it's yours and it's so exciting and you're ready to go, of course, everything's going to go according to plan. And I had these incredible growth plans, and I started investing in people and everything else. And then all of a sudden, 2007, 2008 rolled around, and we specialize in the home builder industry, and the home builders were in front of the curve as far as that whole, because it was all led by housing crisis at that time, for those who remember. So what happened in 2008 for most people started in 2007 for us because of the builders. And the plans did not happen. As a matter of fact, we started losing customers because they were going bankrupt, and we started, I started having to finance payroll and things because I didn't want to let my people go, because I'm an agency. My people are my product, that their knowledge is critical to what I do and their experience and such. But yeah, that was a rough time.
Life Nation, we're all striving towards different goals. Maybe your goal is to finally quit the 8 to 5 grind, quit your job, or take the next step with your existing business. Whatever the goal may be, regardless of your reasons, if you are serious about taking the next step and finally trying to build the life that you deserve, the life that you want to live, take the leap of faith. Go to michaellevis.com and let's discuss your goals and life. It's 100% free. There's no obligation. It's michaellevis.com. Schedule a quick call. I'd love to help.
We had to lay people off. The people who stayed took 30% salary cuts. Wow. And we all kind of hunkered down, and there were some days where I was like, what in the world did I get myself into? Just kind of trying to figure that out. So yeah, I mean, I've got some bruises still from that, I think, and such, but it definitely changed the way I view my business forever.
Yeah. But when those Band-Aids come off, they come off fresh, and you're just a better, you're a better business person because of it. We talk about failures a lot on this show, and talk a lot about just like there's not really failures after you start doing it for so long. There's really just sometimes expensive learning opportunities, but it's very, very expensive ones. But at the end of the day, they are learning opportunities, and they're just they're part of the journey, right? So why do you think there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, in your opinion, that fail?
I think the first thing is people don't think it's going to be as hard as it is. It's just, it takes work. You hear the stories about the $1 billion buyouts and all, these things that, and
you hear all the good stuff.
And those are, the Cinderella stories of where things all go wonderful. And the reality is most businesses, that is not the path. And yeah, there's some great ideas. And every now and then my wife asks me why that hasn't been my path, so you just kind of, when are we going to get that $1 billion buyout? Everybody else has. It's just, it's not the typical path.
That's why I kind of create, that's a big reason what you just mentioned of why the Business and Life, that I kind of really felt there was a need to hear these stories, right? It's not to scare people off. Like you just mentioned, I don't think people know how much work it's going to be. They probably don't. I didn't, and you didn't. You figured like, hey, we put a service or a product out there and I just got to get this invoice system. And I'm pretty sure everyone's just going to start knocking on my door, right? Like, no, right? And so there is a lot of work and patience and definitely grit that needs to be involved in the process. But when it's all said and done, I think that like what you mentioned is, yes, it's a lot of work. And also that there's a lot of failures that people don't talk about. And there's really no such thing as the overnight success that people talk about a lot. I mean, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. I love that quote. Yeah. And a lot of people say it, but it's the truth. So what are you excited about within your business in the digital marketing agency world right now?
One of the things that's come out over the last couple of years, especially in the industry we work in, is where the internet has become the marketing platform. And so we're excited that we're there, and that's what we do and everything. And that's where everybody starts now. Back 8-10 years ago, we were doing newspaper ads, magazine ads and things. And there's still a place for some of that, but that's not where people start today, especially when you think about the residential home construction industry that we work in. It used to be those big Sunday real estate ads, in the Sunday paper that were big spreads and such. And that's just not where the customers are anymore. So we're excited to be in a place where our clients are needing our services. It's fun. We're growing fast and struggling to keep up, frankly.
What is the website that they can find you at?
BlueTangerine.com is where we're at. So it's just how it sounds, blue and tangerine, the fruit, .com. So
awesome. And so is there a specific demo or a specific type of company that you've been able to help more than others, or is it kind of a conglomerate of many?
We have definitely specialized, and I think that's another key to success for most. And so I also, a word of caution is that I believe in having at least two. All right. We were, and we still are heavily in the home builder industry. I mentioned that. But what happened to us in 2007, 2008 is we were so heavy in one industry that when that industry got smacked, it hurt. It hurt really bad. I had people that owed me $30,000, $40,000 going out of business, and things like, and there was and the banks owned the land and we weren't going to get anything and didn't get anything. Yeah. So we said at that point, we're always going to have at least two, and hopefully ones that, while you want to have some ability to overlap your skills and such, having those be different enough where their cycles are going to be different. So our second one is what we call specialty retailers. So we get into e-commerce, not the big box e-commerce, but more the unique kind of specialty merchants. And that it's really fun to see how some of the things we do overlap and some things are just really different. And it's exciting to have a little variety, but to not be so general where we serve everybody who knocks on the door, because it's just really hard to gain the efficiencies both from a sales standpoint and an operations standpoint.
Yeah. You can't be everything to everyone here, Business and Life. And also, I think you mentioned something that is niche down, but niche down strategically, like having one, it's not to go back to having all your eggs in one basket analogy as much as it is being strategic about who your market is. And if your target demo is a market like home building, right? Like home sales, and knowing that that's volatile, right? That's not going to be static. That's always going to be there, like gasoline, right? So knowing that in the long run that there's some things that you can't control, right? And that's something that's really important. If you can't control it, find something that you can control, at least a market or a piece of a demographic that you still have, let's say, a backup of, because 2008 happened, right? And that's definitely rough. And that's talk about being able to come back from that. So congrats to you to be able to do that, right, Greg? And stay in business in general is sometimes a pat on the back in that kind of world when then something like that happens, when no one's getting paid. And of course, yeah, the bank's going to get the money first. I get that. Yeah, for sure. They're first on the lien. They're going to get it. So how are you currently working on, like you had your business for several years. I always like to ask entrepreneurs, Greg, like how they built the business, the life that they want to live, like their why, or more importantly, like the light at the end of their tunnel. What's that for you?
I think one of the keys is treating myself like an employee from a compensation standpoint, in the sense that I kind of set my family budget based on a certain income and such. And then when the business does well, I get a bonus, like other people might get a bonus. I don't treat that as kind of the new income level, so that as there's those ups and downs, then we kind of have this family budget. And yeah, it's nice to get a little bonus here and there, and everybody likes that. But I think sometimes I've seen business owners where the company bank account kind of becomes their bank account, and as the company does well, then their lifestyle changes and everything, it goes up, and then all of a sudden, when that's not there, it's a problem. And they're unable to suddenly pay their mortgage or whatever because the business had a bad year. Now, it doesn't mean that the business can't go bad enough that I have to change my family budget, but hopefully that sure. doesn't happen. And that way too, when putting some things away for retirement and some of those things can happen as those good years come along, that we're able to do that as well.
Well, that's great leadership. I think that makes a lot of sense, and that hopefully humbles a lot of the entrepreneurs out there that don't put things either back in their business, back in their people, and making sure that we understand that, like, it's employees are allowing us to, obviously we're giving them opportunities, but they're also allowing us to live the life that we want to live, and being able to humble yourself down and say, listen, I'm also an employee. I'm going to get a bonus structure out of this. And that's how the process works. I think that shows great leadership, by the way, Greg. That's pretty awesome. Out of all your successes and your failures in your business, what is the one piece of parting advice that you'd give to the Business and Life Nation here today?
Wow. I don't know that I'm qualified to give advice, but I certainly throw it out there. I think the biggest thing that I find myself when I get stuck, it's because I want to see the end before I make the beginning decision. And the reality is that you don't get to see the end. You have to take the next step to see further down. And we can get stuck in that, what's the phrase, analysis paralysis, right? Where you get stuck just wanting more data, wanting to know, it's inherently risky, and so you're going to have to take that step into the dark sometimes, and be able to just kind of go, you know what, I'm smart enough. I've got a good team. I can adapt if it doesn't go according to plan. And so it's okay if it doesn't go according to plan.
Right.
But if I don't start the plan, nothing's going to go to plan if we don't start something. So
that's right. Take an actual strategy, trust yourself, and take the risk, because without the risk, you're not going to be able to A/B test things, for example, if we're talking in marketing terms here, and understand what works and what doesn't. And you're going to pivot, and that's okay. You're going to have a lot of speed bumps, and that's okay. But it's all a learning game here. So, Greg, thanks so much for your time today. I appreciate it. So do our listeners. Tell us again the website where they can find you.
Yeah, bluetangerine.com. Again, I'm Greg at bluetangerine.com. If you want to just send me an email, I'd love to talk to people. Love to help people's businesses be successful. And Mike, this is great. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Life Nation, you've got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Libas, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow, because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do, so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.